If you were to unspool the DNA in your body, it would stretch to the sun and back nearly 70 times. You contain a universe within yourself. As the world grows quiet around you, come with me on a journey down this cosmic ladder, step by step, into the deepest, most peaceful core of who you truly are. Long before the cold logic of microscopes and the bright lights of modern laboratories, there was only the vast and comforting silence of the natural world, where the secrets of life were tucked away in the rhythm of the seasons and the quiet beating of the human heart. Imagine, if you will, a time thousands of years ago, when the night sky was the only ceiling humanity knew, and the stars served as the original storytellers, looking down upon the earth with a gaze that had seen generations rise and fall like the tides of a gentle ocean. In this ancient world, there was a mystery that was both deeply personal and universally profound, a riddle that sat by every fireside and walked through every village square. It was the mystery of likeness, the silent question of how a father's blue eyes could reappear in the face of his newborn daughter, or how the fiery temper of a grandfather could settle into the spirit of a grandson who had never met him. This was the ancient mystery of inheritance, the feeling that there was an invisible river flowing through time, carrying pieces of the past into the present and weaving the spirits of the dead into the bodies of the living. To the people of ancient Mesopotamia, standing atop their ziggurats under the heavy velvet cloak of the night, or the farmers in the Fertile Crescent watching the wheat rise from the mud, this connection was magic, pure and simple. They did not speak of genes or chromosomes or double helixes, for these words did not exist, and the concepts were as distant as the farthest star. Instead, they spoke of blood and spirit and the will of the gods, believing that the essence of a person was a fluid thing that could be poured from one vessel to another, like wine at a feast. Imagine walking through an olive grove in ancient Greece, where the air is thick with the scent of sun-baked earth and crushing herbs. Here, the philosophers walked in their white robes, debating the nature of existence, while the cicadas hummed their rhythmic song in the heat of the afternoon. These thinkers looked at the world and saw patterns everywhere. Just as the acorn holds the entire blueprint of the mighty oak tree within its tiny shell, they believed that the seed of a man and a woman contained a miniature version of the future, waiting to unfold. It was a comforting thought to believe that life was not random, but a carefully scripted play where the actors changed, but the roles remained familiar. They observed the flocks of sheep on the hillsides, noting how a ram with thick wool would father lambs who could survive the winter cold. And in this observation lay the first humble roots of the science we now call genetics, though for them it was simply the way of the world. As the centuries drifted by like clouds across the moon, this mystery deepened and became more romanticized. In the great halls of medieval castles, where tapestries lined the stone walls to keep out the chill, lords and ladies would speak of noble bloodlines as if the blood itself carried the courage of kings or the beauty of queens. They believed that history was physically written inside them, that the strength of an ancestor who fought a dragon or won a great battle was dormant in their veins, waiting to be awakened.
There is something incredibly soothing about this perspective. To view your body not as a biological machine, but as a vessel of history, a living library of all those who came before you. Imagine the ancient families gathering around a hearth fire, the wood crackling and popping as sparks fly up the chimney like fleeing fireflies. They would look at the hands of a child and see the hands of a great-great-grandmother who once spun wool by a similar fire, and in that recognition there was a sense of immortality. death was not the end if your smile could live on in the face of another and your laughter could echo in the throat of someone born 100 years hence. This belief in the continuity of life provided a warm blanket of security against the cold unknown of the universe. It meant that no one was ever truly alone, for they carried a legion of kinfolk within them. The farmers of the Nile Valley, planting their crops in the rich, dark soil, understood this intuitively, as they knew that the grain they held in their hands was the child of the grain from the year before and the parent of the grain to come. It was an unbroken chain of life, stretching back to the creation of the world, a golden thread that connected the humble seed to the shining sun. As you listen to this, let yourself feel the weight of that ancient connection. Realize that long before we identified the molecule of DNA, the human heart already understood its purpose, which is to bind us together across the expanses of time. The ancient healers and mystics often spoke of the humors, or the vital fluids that balanced the body and shaped the soul. They believed that a person's temperament, whether they were melancholic or cheerful, was determined by these invisible mixtures inherited from their parents. While their science was primitive, their intuition was beautiful, for they sensed that we are made of mixed ingredients, blended together in a unique recipe that has never existed before and will never exist again. This era of mystery was a time of looking outward to understand the inward. They looked at the constellations and thought perhaps the stars influenced the baby at the moment of birth, imprinting their personality upon the infant. They looked at the moon and the tides and the cycles of the harvest and felt that humanity was just another crop growing in the garden of the gods. There was no anxiety about DNA testing or genetic predispositions. There was only the acceptance of what is. If a child was born with a gift for music, it was seen as a blessing from the muses or a return of an ancestor's talent. This acceptance created a slower pace of life, a life where people were content to watch the mystery unfold rather than trying to force it open. Imagine the peace of that acceptance, the freedom of not needing to know every mechanical detail, but simply trusting the process of life.
As the wheel of history turned slowly, the curiosity of man began to sharpen. But for thousands of years, the answer to why we are who we are remained a beautiful secret wrapped in the sanctuary of the body. It was a secret kept by the blood and guarded by the bone. Parents would look into the crib at a sleeping infant, watching the chest rise and fall, and wonder at the miracle of creation, seeing their own features reflected back at them like a face in a quiet pond. This was the era of the comfortable unknown, where the mechanism of inheritance was less important than the feeling of belonging. To belong to a tribe, to a clan, to a family line, was to have a permanent anchor in the drifting currents of time. And so, tonight, as we begin our journey into the world of DNA, we start here in the cradle of history, where the night is dark and the stars are bright, and the only sound is the wind moving through the trees and the gentle breathing of the sleeper. We honor the ancients who asked the first questions, who looked at the similarities between father and son, mother and daughter, and saw the hand of the divine. They laid the emotional foundation for the science that would come later. They taught us to revere the connection between generations, to respect the invisible bond that ties us to the past. Imagine yourself sitting on a hillside in that ancient world, the grass cool beneath you, the air fresh and clean. You are part of that lineage, part of that mystery. You are the result of thousands of loves and thousands of lives that have culminated in this moment of rest. There is no pressure here, only the gentle realization that you are a masterpiece of nature, constructed by an ancient wisdom that knew how to build you long before we knew how to name the building blocks. The mystery of inheritance is like a lullaby that has been sung since the dawn of humanity, a song that tells us we are made of the same stuff as the earth and the stars and the people we love. So let the scientific terms fade away for now and rest in the simple, ancient truth that you are a continuation of a story that began long ago, a story written in a language that the ancients could feel but not read, a story that is now pausing for a peaceful chapter of sleep.
From the misty hills of ancient history, we drift forward on the river of time, arriving in the middle of the 19th century, where the world was beginning to turn faster with the steam and noise of the industrial age. Yet far away from the soot and the clamor of the factories, there existed a sanctuary of absolute stillness, a place where time seemed to slow down to the pace of a growing leaf. This was the city of Brno in the Austrian Empire, and specifically the walled garden of the St. Thomas Abbey, where the air was always thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming roses. Here, within the protective embrace of high stone walls, lived a humble monk named Gregor Mendel, a man of quiet habits and deep thoughts who found his universe not in the grand movements of the stars, but in the tiny rustling vines of the vegetable patch. Imagine entering this garden on a warm morning in June, where the sunlight spills over the walls like golden honey, illuminating the neat rows of green that stretch out across the dark, fertile soil. The sounds of the city are muffled here, reduced to a distant hum that only deepens the sense of isolation and peace. All you can hear is the chirping of a sparrow perched on the slate roof of the monastery and the gentle, rhythmic scraping of a hoe against the ground. It is here that we find Father Mendel, walking slowly between the rows, his heavy robes brushing against the leaves with a soft whispering sound. He is a man of patience, a man who understands that nature cannot be rushed, that she reveals her secrets only to those who are willing to wait and watch with the stillness of a statue. For most people, a garden is a place to grow food, or perhaps a place to sit and read. But for Mendel, this rectangular plot of land was a library of living books. He was fascinated by the pea plants that climbed the wooden stakes, their delicate tendrils reaching out like tiny fingers to grasp for support. He noticed the simple beauty of their flowers, some painted in a vibrant violet purple and others in a pure snowy white. He observed the height of the stems, some tall and majestic, reaching for the sun, while others remained short and bushy, hugging the earth. To his gentle eyes, these were not just random variations, but a secret language, a code that was waiting to be cracked. Day after day, as the seasons turned from the fresh green of spring to the golden haze of autumn, Mendel would come to the garden with his tools, not the tools of a farmer, but the tools of a scientist disguised as a gardener. He carried a tiny brush made of camel hair, fine and soft, which he used with the precision of a jeweler. Imagine him bending over a white blossom, his breath held tight in his chest as he carefully dusted the yellow pollen from one flower to another, performing a delicate marriage that nature usually handled with the wind or the bees. In this quiet act, he was asking nature a question. If I take the pollen from a tall plant and give it to a short one, what will the children look like? Will they be medium height, or will they resemble one parent entirely? It was a question asked in silence, answered only by the slow growth of the plant over weeks and months.
There is something deeply hypnotic about the repetition of his work. He did this thousands of times, treating each flower with the same reverence as a sacred text. He tagged them and tied little bags over the blossoms to protect them from stray pollen carried by insects, ensuring that his experiment remained pure. This was a labor of love and a labor of solitude, performed in the early morning hours when the dew was still heavy on the grass and the rest of the monastery was asleep. As the pods began to form, swelling with the promise of the next generation, Mendel would wait. Imagine the immense patience required to wait for a seed to dry, to harvest it, to plant it again the following spring, and to wait yet another season to see the result. This was not a discovery made in a flash of lightning, but a truth unveiled slowly, like the opening of a heavy velvet curtain. When the new plants finally emerged from the soil, unfolding their leaves to the light, Mendel was there to greet them. He counted them one by one. He did not just look, he measured and tallied, recording his findings in neat columns in his notebooks, his handwriting small and precise. What he found was a rhythm, a mathematical beat pulsing underneath the chaos of life. He discovered that traits did not blend together like paint in a bucket, but remained distinct like marbles in a bag. He saw that the tallness or the color of the flower was passed down in discrete units, which we now call genes, though he called them factors. He noticed that some traits were strong and dominant, shouting their presence, while others were shy and recessive, hiding away for a generation, only to reappear in the grandchildren like a memory surfacing after a long sleep. Imagine the comfort of this discovery, the realization that there is order in the universe, that the same laws that govern the movement of the planets also govern the color of a pea flower. Mendel sat in his cell at night by the light of a flickering candle, looking at his numbers and seeing a beautiful symmetry. He saw the ratio of 3:1 appearing over and over again, a recurring melody in the symphony of nature. Outside his window, the wind might howl and the snow might fall, covering the garden in a blanket of white. But inside his mind, everything was clear and structured. He had found the rules of the game of life. Yet the world was not ready to listen. He was a monk working in obscurity, far from the great universities of London or Paris. When he tried to explain his findings to the scientific men of his day, they did not understand. They saw only a man who liked to count peas, not realizing he had found the key to human existence. But this did not trouble Mendel deeply, for he was a man of faith and a man of peace. He famously said, "My time will come," and so he continued his work, content in the quiet knowledge he had gained. Let us stay for a while longer in this garden as the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the rows of plants. The air cools, and the smell of the soil becomes richer and deeper. The birds settle into the ivy on the walls, and the first stars begin to twinkle in the twilight sky. There is a profound sense of rest here, a feeling that nothing needs to be done right now, that the plants will grow in their own time, and the answers will come when they are ready. Mendel's garden is a reminder to us that the biggest discoveries often happen in the quietest places, that you do not need to be loud to be important, that the softest whisper can echo through history. Imagine him walking back to the monastery as the bells toll for evening prayer, his hands stained with the dirt of the garden, his mind filled with the wonder of creation. He washes his hands in a basin of cool water, feeling the dust wash away, but the knowledge remaining. He joins his brothers in the chapel, where the chanting of the monks rises up to the vaulted ceiling, blending with the silence of the night. This chapter of our story is about the beauty of patience and the comfort of routine. It is about the gentle rustle of leaves and the slow unfolding of truth. As you lie there, visualize the pea vines curling around the wooden stakes, holding on tight, just as your body holds on to the instructions of your ancestors. Visualize the white and purple flowers nodding in the gentle breeze, peaceful and unaware of the secret they hold. Think of the numbers counting down, 3:1, 3:1, a rhythmic lullaby that rocks the foundation of biology. Mendel passed away without ever knowing that he would be called the father of genetics. But in that garden, he found something perhaps even more valuable. He found peace. He found a connection to the living world that was intimate and profound. He understood that life is not an accident, but a design, a tapestry woven with invisible threads. And as we leave the monastery garden behind, letting the iron gates close softly with a click, we carry with us the scent of the flowers and the calmness of the monk who sat and watched and waited. We leave the 19th century behind, drifting further down the stream of time, but we take with us this new understanding that deep inside every living thing there is a mechanism, a set of instructions as precise as a clock and as beautiful as a poem, waiting to be read, waiting to be understood, and now waiting to rest.
Leaving behind the gentle warmth of the Austrian garden, we now travel north across the map of Europe, drifting through the mists of time to the year 1869. We find ourselves in the historic university town of Tübingen in Germany, where the air is crisp and the winters are long and silent. High above the town, standing on a ridge like a guardian of secrets, lies the ancient Hohen-Tübingen Castle. Its massive stone walls have weathered centuries of storms and seen kings and scholars pass through its gates. But tonight, the castle is quiet, except for a faint light flickering in one of the vaulted rooms. This is not a royal chamber filled with velvet and gold, but a makeshift laboratory housed in what was once the castle kitchen. The air here is cold, so cold that you can see your breath hanging in the stillness like a ghost, for the temperature must be kept low to preserve the delicate materials being studied. In this chilly sanctuary, we find a young Swiss scientist named Friedrich Miescher, a man of intense focus and quiet determination who is about to stumble upon the very substance of life while the rest of the world sleeps under a blanket of snow. Imagine the atmosphere of this castle laboratory, where the stone floors echo with the softest footfall and the high arched ceilings are lost in the shadows. The only light comes from the soft hiss of a gas lamp and the warm glow of candles casting dancing silhouettes against the whitewashed walls. Miescher is alone here, wrapped in a heavy wool coat to ward off the biting chill of the German winter. He is a man who prefers the company of his thoughts to the noise of the tavern. He stands before a wooden workbench covered in glass beakers and flasks, the tools of his trade, gleaming faintly in the low light. His work is strange and solitary, for he is fascinated by the chemistry of the cell, the tiny building block of all living things. Specifically, he is interested in the white blood cells, the microscopic soldiers that defend the body. To find them, he has turned to a source that others might find difficult, but which he views with the detached curiosity of a scientist. He collects bandages from the nearby surgical clinic, cloths that have bound the healing wounds of patients and are now rich with these white cells. To him, these are not waste, but treasure chests waiting to be opened. Listen to the sounds of his work in the quiet night. There is the gentle slosh of water as he rinses the bandages with infinite care, the rhythmic clinking of glass as he pours solutions, and the scratching of his pen on paper as he records every step of his meticulous process. He is trying to wash away the outer layers of the cell, to dissolve the proteins and the fats, to see what remains at the very center. It is a slow process, a process of patience that requires days and nights of waiting. He adds a digestive enzyme called pepsin, the same substance found in the stomach, and watches as it eats away the outer shell of the cells, leaving only the central core, the nucleus. He is like an explorer,
hacking through a dense jungle to find a lost temple hidden in the center. The work is repetitive and hypnotic, involving step after step of washing and filtering and settling. Outside the castle walls, the snow begins to fall, covering the roofs of Tübingen in a layer of white silence, muffling the sounds of the town below. The river Neckar flows silently through the valley, a dark ribbon of water reflecting the moon. But up here in the castle, time seems to stand still. Mischer is looking for protein, but what he finds is something else entirely. As he adds acid to his solution, he watches a strange substance appear. It is a grayish-white precipitate, a cloudy formation that floats in the beaker like a phantom. He tilts the glass, letting the liquid swirl, and observes this new material with a furrowed brow. It does not behave like protein. It contains phosphorus, a chemical element that is rare in other parts of the cell. He realizes with a growing sense of wonder that he has isolated something unique, something that resides only in the nucleus of the cell, the inner sanctum of life. He names it nuclein, a simple name for a substance that we now know as DNA, the blueprint of existence. But on this quiet winter night, he does not know the magnitude of his discovery. He only knows that he has found a piece of the puzzle that fits nowhere else. Imagine the feeling of holding a beaker in your hand and looking at the raw material of life itself suspended in liquid. It is a moment of profound connection between the observer and the observed. The cold of the laboratory is forgotten in the warmth of discovery. He works late into the night, the castle surrounding him like a stone fortress of solitude. The wind whistles softly around the towers, a mournful but comforting sound that emphasizes the safety of the indoors. He is the only person in the world who knows of this substance. For now, it is a secret shared between him and the molecules. He treats the nuclein with great gentleness, knowing that it is fragile. He tests it again and again, confirming that it is indeed a new type of biological molecule, not a fat, not a sugar, not a protein, but something fundamental and distinct. As you listen to this story, visualize the scene: the heavy wooden tables worn smooth by years of use, the rows of glass bottles with handwritten labels, the smell of alcohol and ether mixing with the musty scent of the old stone walls. There is a beauty in this scientific solitude, a meditative quality to the repetitive actions of the laboratory. Pour and stir, wait and watch, filter and record. Mischer was a perfectionist, a man who doubted himself and checked his results a dozen times before believing them. This hesitation, this carefulness, adds a layer of calmness to the story. He did not rush to shout his news from the rooftops. Instead, he sat with it. He lived with it. He let the truth settle like the snow outside.
The discovery of nuclein was not a loud explosion, but a quiet realization arriving on soft slippers in the middle of the night. It was the opening of a door that had been locked since the beginning of life, a door that led to the very library of human instruction. As the night deepens, the fire in the small stove burns low, casting a dim orange glow across the room. Mischer finally sets down his beaker, his eyes tired but his mind alive with questions. He walks to the window and rubs a clear circle in the frost on the glass, looking out at the sleeping world. The timber-framed houses of the town are dark, their inhabitants dreaming in their beds, unaware that high above them in the cold castle, a young man has just held the secret of their inheritance in a glass tube. The river below continues its endless journey to the sea, just as the stream of genetic information flows from generation to generation, unceasing and eternal. Imagine yourself standing there beside him, feeling the chill of the window pane against your fingertips, but feeling warm and heavy with sleep. The castle is a protective shell, a place where time pauses. The work is done for tonight. The nuclein is safe. The secret has been caught. There is a profound peace in knowing that the building blocks of your body were waiting there in the dark to be found, that they are real and tangible, not just abstract ideas, but physical substances that can be seen and touched. Friedrich Miescher eventually blows out the candle, plunging the room into darkness, save for the moonlight. He wraps his coat tighter and prepares to leave the lab, the door creaking on its iron hinges as he steps out into the corridor. The echoes of his footsteps fade away, leaving the room silent once more. But the beaker remains, sitting on the bench, holding the grayish-white cloud of nuclein, the sleeping giant of biology. This is the comfort of the history of science, the knowledge that dedicated souls like Miescher spent their lives unraveling the knots of existence so that we might understand ourselves. On this cold night in 1869, the first strand of the mystery was pulled. The first glimpse of the double helix was caught in the raw form of nuclein. And now, as we leave the castle of Hohentubingen behind, fading into the snowy mist, we carry with us the image of that quiet lab, the sanctuary of stone where the chemical of life was first introduced to the mind of man. Let the image of the falling snow and the silent river lull you deeper into relaxation. The world is vast and full of wonders, but tonight everything is calm, everything is known, everything is resting, just like the nuclein in the glass, just like the monk in the garden, just like you in your bed, drifting slowly into the comfortable darkness of sleep.
As the wheel of time turns slowly forward, we leave the cold stone castle behind and step into the warm golden light of the early 20th century. It is a time of new beginnings where the world is waking up to the wonders of the microscopic universe, and the heavy velvet curtains of the Victorian era are being pulled back to reveal the sun. Imagine yourself entering a quiet study in a university laboratory, perhaps in New York or Columbia, where the air smells of old paper and cedarwood oil, and the only sound is the ticking of a grandfather clock in the corner, counting away the seconds of a lazy afternoon. On a heavy oak desk, scarred by years of work, sits the instrument of our journey, a beautiful microscope made of polished brass. It gleams in the afternoon light like a golden statue, cold to the touch and heavy with importance. This is not the digital plastic of the future, but a work of art, a mechanical eye that requires patience and a steady hand to operate. The scientist sits before it, adjusting the mirror at the base to catch the sunlight from the window and direct it up through the glass slide. It is a ritual of light and shadow, a preparation for entering a world that is too small to be seen, but too important to be ignored. The focus of this chapter is on the visual beauty of what lies within. For years, scientists had looked at cells and seen only clear jelly, but now they had discovered the magic of dye. By adding a drop of deep blue or crimson stain to the slide, they could make the invisible visible. Imagine the anticipation as the scientist leans forward, resting his eye against the cool metal of the eyepiece. The world outside disappears, the traffic on the street, the rustle of the wind, the ticking clock all fade away until there is only the circular field of bright white light, like looking at a full moon through a telescope, but instead of craters, we see the landscape of life. Inside this circle of light, a drama is unfolding. The dye has soaked into the center of the cell, revealing strange dark shapes that were never seen before. They are thread-like structures, thick and ropey, absorbing the color so deeply that they stand out against the pale background like ink on parchment. The scientists called them chromosomes, which simply means colored bodies, a name that captures their visual beauty rather than their function. But to the observer watching through the brass tube, they look like something far more poetic. Imagine seeing these threads not as static lines, but as dancers in a grand ballroom. The
The cell is preparing to divide, to make a copy of itself, and to do this, it must perform a choreography that is billions of years old. As you listen, visualize the chromosomes condensing, tightening up from a loose tangle into distinct individual shapes. They look like tiny ribbons, or perhaps like pairs of lost lovers finding each other across a crowded room. They move with a ghostly grace, drifting through the fluid of the cell without any visible means of propulsion. It is a slow-motion ballet performed in total silence.
This is the waltz of the chromosomes, a dance that happens inside you even as you sleep. The pairs line up perfectly along the center of the cell, often called the equator, as if they are standing on a meridian line, waiting for the signal to begin. Imagine the precision of it. Billions of cells, and in every single one of them, this lineup happens with the discipline of a military parade, but the grace of a swan. They hover there for a moment, trembling slightly, as if catching their breath, and then the separation begins. It is the most elegant movement in nature. The pairs split apart and are pulled gently to opposite sides of the cell. They glide through the cytoplasm like boats moving through calm water, leaving no wake behind them. The brass microscope reveals this movement not as a sudden jerk, but as a fluid, continuous flow, a majestic parting of ways that ensures the future generation receives the exact same library of information as the past. To the scientists of the early 1900s, watching this phenomenon was like watching a sacred ritual. They began to realize that these dancing threads were not just decorations, but the carriers of destiny. They were the physical location of Mendel's factors, the suitcases in which the secrets of blue eyes and tall stems were packed and transported. There is a profound comfort in visualizing this orderliness, to know that deep down, at the very foundation of your physical being, there is no chaos. There is only this rhythmic, organized dance, a waltz that follows strict rules of balance and harmony. Imagine the scientist lifting his head from the microscope for a moment to rest his tired eyes. He looks around the dusty room, seeing the particles of dust dancing in a shaft of sunlight, and realizes that the same laws of physics that govern the dust also govern the threads of life. He takes a sip of tea, which has gone cold while he was lost in the microscopic world, and feels a sense of awe washing over him. He realizes that he is witnessing the mechanism of eternity, the way life hands the baton from one runner to the next without ever dropping it. The brass of the microscope feels warm now, having absorbed the heat of the room and the warmth of the lamp. The smell of the cedarwood oil used to improve the clarity of the lens hangs in the air, a rich and earthy scent that grounds him in the present moment. He looks back into the eyepiece and the dance continues. The cell begins to pinch in the middle, isolating the two new groups of chromosomes. The walls close in, and suddenly, where there was one, there are now two. Two perfect circles of life, each holding the precious colored bodies within.
It is a process of multiplication by division, a paradox that sustains all living things. And as the afternoon light begins to fade, turning the room into a landscape of shadows, the chromosomes relax. They uncoil and fade back into the background, becoming invisible once again, their work done for the moment. They rest just as you are preparing to rest. This chapter of the story invites you to see your own body as a ballroom of beautiful, silent movement. Imagine that inside your skin there are trillions of these tiny waltzes taking place, a symphony of biological motion that requires no effort from you. It happens while you work, while you play, and especially while you sleep. It is the tireless maintenance of your existence. The early geneticists who first saw this gave us a gift. They gave us the image of the thread, the idea that life is woven together, that we are not solid blocks of matter, but a tapestry of moving parts. Watching the chromosomes is like watching the hands of a clock,
They move so slowly you almost cannot see it, but if you look away and look back, they have changed position, measuring out the time of life. Let the image of the golden brass microscope linger in your mind, the solid, heavy feel of it, the circle of pure white light, the dark, graceful shapes floating and turning, separating and reuniting. It is a hypnotic image, a visual mantra that calms the racing mind. There is no rush in the cellular world. The chromosomes do not hurry, they simply flow. They trust the process. They trust the ancient instructions written inside them, and you can trust them too. As the sun sets on the early 20th century and the gas lamps flicker to life in the streets outside the laboratory, settles into silence. The slides are put away in their wooden boxes, the microscope is covered with a velvet cloth to keep off the dust, and the secrets of the cell are safe for another night. The dance slows down, the music fades, and the dancers take their bow, drifting into the quiet repose of the nucleus, waiting for the next dawn, waiting for the next cycle. But for now, there is only stillness, the beautiful, productive stillness of a job well done. The threads of life are spun, the tapestry is whole, and the observer closes his eyes, seeing the afterimage of the dancing colored bodies swirling gently in the dark, lullabies of biology singing you to sleep. We drift now from the visual dance of the chromosomes into the realm of the invisible, moving from the eye of the microscope to the eye of the mind. The year is 1943, and the world is engulfed in the noise of war. But on the emerald edge of Europe, in the ancient city of Dublin, there is a quiet sanctuary of thought. Here, the rain falls softly on the cobblestone streets, washing the city in a gray and silver light, and the fog rolls in from the Irish Sea, muffling the sounds of the bustling town. Inside the sturdy stone walls of Trinity College, a refuge for scholars and dreamers, the air is warm and smells of pipe tobacco and damp wool. It is here that we find the celebrated Austrian physicist Erwin Schrödinger, a man known for his work with the fundamental particles of the universe. He has fled the turmoil of the continent to find safety in Ireland, and in this peaceful exile, he turns his brilliant mind away from the cold equations of quantum mechanics to the warm mystery of biology. Imagine the scene in a lecture hall on a Friday afternoon where the wooden benches are polished by centuries of students. The room is packed with people sitting shoulder to shoulder, huddled against the damp chill of the February air, waiting to hear the Nobel laureate speak. But Schrödinger is not there to talk about atoms or electrons in the way they expect. He is there to ask a question that is as old as humanity itself. What is life? He stands at the podium, a figure of intellect and grace, his voice carrying the soft lilt of his native Austria, echoing gently against the high ceilings. The atmosphere is intense yet intimate, like a gathering of friends around a fire to solve a riddle. Schrödinger invites them to imagine how a tiny seed or a microscopic egg can hold the entire plan for a human being or a sunflower. He looks at the problem not as a biologist who describes shapes, but as a physicist who understands the laws of order and chaos. He speaks of the second law of thermodynamics, which states that everything in the universe wants to decay, to crumble, to turn from order into disorder. A hot cup of tea cools down, a stone castle turns to rubble, a star burns out. This is the natural flow of things. Yet life is different. Life fights back against this decay. A living body stays warm. It repairs itself. It maintains its complex structure against the pull of chaos. Schrödinger suggests that living things feed on order to survive, drawing energy from their environment,
to keep their internal library intact. As you listen to this idea, let it comfort you. The realization that your body is a fortress of order in a chaotic universe, that simply by being alive and breathing, you are performing a miracle of physics, maintaining your own personal structure against the tides of time.
In the cozy study of his home in Dublin, where the fire crackles in the hearth and the rain taps a gentle rhythm against the window pane, Schrödinger writes down his thoughts into a little book, a book that is destined to become a legend. He proposes a daring idea. He suggests that inside the cell, inside the mysterious chromosomes we saw dancing earlier, there must be a code. He calls it a code script. Imagine a long message written in a microscopic language that dictates every detail of the organism. He struggles to describe what this molecule might look like because DNA has not yet been fully understood, so he uses a beautiful phrase. He calls it an aperiodic crystal. Think of a crystal like a diamond or a snowflake, which repeats the same pattern over and over again, perfectly predictable and symmetrical. But an aperiodic crystal is different. It is a structure that is solid and stable like a crystal, but it does not repeat. It changes. It carries information. Imagine a tapestry woven with millions of threads, where the pattern never repeats, but tells a continuous story from beginning to end. Or think of a necklace strung with 4 different colors of beads, where the order of the beads spells out a message. This was the physicist's dream, the idea that biology is written in a language of molecules, that the secret of life is not a magical spark, but a physical script that can be read and understood. It is a profound shift in thinking, moving from the vague idea of blood to the precise idea of information. And in the quiet of his Dublin study, Schrödinger is lighting a torch that will guide the next generation of explorers. He writes about how this code script must be durable enough to last for centuries, passed down from generation to generation without changing, yet flexible enough to create the infinite variety of life we see around us. He marvels at the stability of the gene, how a specific facial feature, like the shape of a lip or the color of an eye, can be preserved across hundreds of years like a precious heirloom kept safe in a strongbox. The book he writes is small. You could slip it into your pocket, but its impact is heavy. It travels across the ocean. It travels into the hands of young soldiers returning from war. It travels into the minds of students who are looking for a new frontier. The words of the physicist act like a gentle summons, calling them to look for this crystal, to find this code. Imagine the comfort of reading in a quiet room, the feeling of turning the pages of a book that changes the way you see the world, the safety of an armchair, the warmth of a blanket, the soft glow of a reading lamp. This is the atmosphere of the 1940s intellectual, a world of tweed jackets and thoughtful silences, where big ideas are born in small moments.
Schrödinger's script is the bridge between the dead world of atoms and the living world of cells. He showed us that we are made of the same atoms as the stars and the stones, but we are arranged differently. We are arranged with purpose, with a plan, with a script. As the rain continues to fall over Dublin, turning the River Liffey into a dark mirror reflecting the streetlights, the city sleeps. But the idea is awake. The idea that you are a message sent through time is now out in the world, waiting to be decoded. There is something incredibly relaxing about the concept of the aperiodic crystal. It suggests that you are unique, that you are not just a copy of a copy, but a specific, non-repeating design, a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of nature. The atoms in your body are obeying the laws of quantum mechanics, holding together, vibrating with energy, keeping the code safe. As you lie in your bed, visualize this crystal inside you, not hard and sharp like a diamond, but flexible and flowing, a crystal of life that bends but does not break. It holds the memory of your past and the blueprint of your future. The war outside, the noise of history, the confusion of the era, none of it can touch the serenity of the code script. It remains safe deep within the nucleus, protected by the laws of physics. Schrödinger finishes his writing and sets down his pen. The house is silent. The fire has burned down to glowing embers, casting a soft red light across the rug. He is tired, but satisfied. He has looked into the heart of life and seen a structure, a logic, a reason. He does not know that two young men named Watson and Crick will soon read his book and be inspired to find the double helix. He only knows that he has posed the right question. The night in Dublin is deep and peaceful. The foghorns sound in the distance like low, mournful lullabies. The physicist closes his eyes and drifts into sleep, his mind quieting down from the complex equations to the simple rhythm of his own breathing, the breathing that is controlled by the very code he wrote about. And so we leave the rainy streets of Dublin, leaving the physicist to his dreams, taking with us the concept of the code, the script, the crystal, the knowledge that we are written, that we are recorded, that we are stable, allowing this sense of structural security to wrap around us like the warm wool of a coat, protecting us from the chaos, holding us together as we drift deeper and deeper into the library of the night.
From the rain-swept streets of Dublin and the theoretical dreams of the physicist, we now travel across the Irish Sea to the bustling heart of London in the early 1950s. The city is slowly healing from the scars of the war, rebuilding itself one brick at a time. But down in the quiet basement corridors of King's College, near the banks of the River Thames, there is a world untouched by the construction cranes and the noise of the traffic. A subterranean world of cool stone and dim lights, where the air smells faintly of ozone and photographic chemicals. This is the domain of Rosalind Franklin, a woman of sharp intellect and steady hands who walks through these hallways with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly where she is going. Imagine the atmosphere of this laboratory. It is not a place of bright white surfaces and futuristic computers, but a place of shadows and heavy machinery, a place where science is done with physical levers and glass plates. The room is kept dark to protect the sensitive equipment, and in this gloom sits the X-ray diffraction machine, a large metal beast that hums with a low, steady vibration, a sound that becomes the background music of her life, a mechanical lullaby that signals the work is in progress. Rosalind is a master of this machine. She treats it with a respect bordering on reverence because she knows that it is the only eye sharp enough to see into the molecular world. She is trying to capture the shadow of DNA, not a photograph in the traditional sense, like a portrait of a family member, but a diffraction pattern, a ghostly scatter of light that reveals the hidden architecture of the atom. Picture her preparing the sample. Her movements are slow and deliberate. She takes a tiny glass rod and draws out a fiber of DNA from a gel. The fiber is thinner than a human hair, fragile and delicate. She has discovered that the DNA needs to be kept wet, that it needs to be hydrated to show its true form. So she carefully controls the humidity inside the tiny camera chamber, creating a microscopic climate just for the molecule. It is a task that requires the patience of a saint and the precision of a watchmaker. She places the fiber in the path of the X-ray beam, and then she waits. This is the part of the story that invites you to slow down, to match your breathing to the rhythm of the machine, because capturing these images is not a matter of a split-second click of a shutter. It is a matter of hours, often days, of continuous exposure. The X-ray beam is an invisible stream of energy that travels through the darkness, passes through the DNA fiber, and scatters, hitting the photographic film behind it, one photon at a time, slowly painting a picture in the dark. Imagine Rosalind leaving the machine to do its work. She walks out of the lab into the London evening, where the fog is rolling off the river, wrapping the street lamps in halos of mist. She goes home to rest, but her mind stays with the camera, visualizing the invisible rays dancing through the crystal structure, waiting for the image to accumulate. The passage of time in this story is measured in the slow development of the film. Days later, she returns to the lab and enters the dark room, a small sanctuary bathed in the soft glow of a red safety light. The air here is thick with the scent of vinegar and earth, the smell of the developer and the fixer. She takes the film out of the camera and slides it into the tray of liquid, standing there in the red darkness, rocking the tray gently back and forth, swish and pause, swish and pause. The liquid laps against the sides of the tray like a miniature ocean. This is the most magical moment in science, the moment of revelation, as she watches the blank gray square of film begins to darken. Shapes start to emerge from the void, first the faint outline, and then the sharp details. She lifts the film with a pair of tongs and holds it up to the light, water dripping from the corner, making a soft, rhythmic tapping sound on the floor. What she sees is an image that will become the most famous in the history of biology. It is known simply as Photo 51. It is beautiful in its simplicity, a black background with a scattering of spots, but in the very center there is a distinct, unmistakable shape, a dark X, a cross of shadow that signifies a helix, a spiral. To the untrained eye, it might look like a blurry star or a ripple in a pond, but to Rosalind it is a message. The X shape tells her that the molecule is twisted like a corkscrew. The spacing of the spots tells her the distance between the rungs of the ladder. The diamonds around the edge tell her the size of the structure. She studies it in silence. There is no shouting, no running through the halls, just the quiet satisfaction of a puzzle solved, the feeling of knowing something that no one else in the world knows. The image is ghostly and ethereal, like a spirit captured on film. It is the shadow of life itself, the physical proof of the spiral staircase we imagined earlier. She hangs the film up to dry, clipping it to a line like a piece of wet laundry, and watches it sway gently in the draft from the ventilation. The X remains there, staring back at her, a silent guardian of the genetic code. Outside the walls of King's College, the city of London bustles on. The red double-decker buses rumble over the bridges. The bells of St. Paul's Cathedral chime the hour. But in the lab, everything is still. Everything is focused on that single square of film. Rosalind Franklin sits at her desk, making notes in her lab book. Her handwriting is neat and angular. She measures the image with a ruler and a compass, calculating the angles of the helix. She is methodical. She wants to be sure. She wants to be right. This chapter is a tribute to the quiet workers, the ones who stay late in the lab, the ones who find comfort in the dark, who find beauty in the shadows.
The hum of the X-ray machine is a white noise that blocks out the chaos of the world, allowing the mind to focus on the singular task at hand. As you listen to this, imagine yourself in that dark room, feeling the safety of the red light, hearing the gentle hum, smelling the sharp, clean scent of the chemicals. You are witnessing the unveiling of the double helix, not through a model made of metal, but through a shadow cast by light. The beauty of Photo 51 lies in its ambiguity and its promise. It is a clue, a map,
a signpost pointing the way to the secret of life. Rosalind packs up her things for the night. She turns off the safety light and opens the door, stepping back out into the cool hallway. The image is safe, the data is collected, the truth is there on the film. She walks out into the London night, which is now deep and quiet. The rain has stopped, leaving the pavement shining like a mirror, reflecting the moon above. She walks along the embankment, the river flowing silently beside her, a massive body of water moving towards the sea, just as the knowledge she has uncovered will move towards the future. She does not know yet that her photo will be the key that unlocks the door for others. She only knows that she has done her job well. There is a deep sense of peace in a job well done, in the completion of a long task, in the successful capture of a fleeting moment. As we leave Rosalind Franklin walking home under the London stars, we leave behind the hum of the X-ray machine and the smell of the darkroom, but we take with us the image of the X, the crossed lines that mark the spot where life turns and twists. The shadow in the X-ray is no longer a mystery, it is a portrait of us, a portrait of the spiral that sits inside every cell of your body, relaxing, repairing, and waiting for the morning. Let the image of that dark film with its pattern of light spots fade into your mind's eye, a constellation of biology, a star map of the human interior. The world of the 1950s is a world of black and white, of shadows and light, a world that feels grounded and real. The heavy coats, the stone buildings, the quiet dignity of the scientist, all of it wraps around you like a heavy quilt. The story of DNA is not just a story of bright flashes of genius. It is a story of long hours in the dark, of patience, of waiting for the invisible to reveal itself. And now the revelation is here, resting on a drying rack in a silent room, while the city sleeps and you sleep, drifting down into the comfortable, quiet spiral of your own dreams.
Leaving the shadows of the London laboratory behind, we travel north to the fenlands of East Anglia, arriving in the historic university town of Cambridge, where the spires of the chapels pierce the gray sky like stone fingers pointing to the heavens. It is the early 1950s, and the town is a labyrinth of cobblestone streets and ancient colleges where the walls are covered in ivy that turns from green to crimson with the passing of the seasons. The atmosphere here is different from the industrial hum of London. It is quieter, more contemplative, a place where people ride bicycles with wicker baskets rattling over the stones, and where the River Cam flows so slowly it seems to be standing still, reflecting the weeping willows that dip their branches into the water like green curtains. In this setting of academic tradition, we find two men who are about to change the world, not with a machine, but with a toy. Their names are James Watson, a young American with messy hair and a brash curiosity, and Francis Crick, an older Englishman with a booming laugh and a mind that never stops racing. They work at the Cavendish Laboratory, a place of legendary scientific history, but their own workspace is humble, a cluttered room filled with books and papers and the smell of chalk dust. Unlike Rosalind Franklin, who sought the truth in the shadows of the X-ray, these two men are trying to build the truth with their hands. Imagine them sitting on high wooden stools, surrounded by scraps of cardboard and pieces of wire. They're like children building a model airplane, but the stakes are infinite. They are trying to construct a physical model of DNA, trying to fit the pieces together like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle that has no box top to guide them. The weather in Cambridge is often wet, and on this particular day, the rain is falling steadily, drumming a soft rhythm against the leaded glass windows of the lab. The sky is the color of slate, and the light in the room is dim and gray, forcing them to turn on the desk lamps, which cast warm pools of yellow light over their work surface.
Watch their hands as they move. They pick up cutouts of cardboard representing the 4 bases of DNA, the A, the C, the G, and the T. They shuffle them around, trying to see how they might fit together. Do they go on the outside or the inside? Do they pair up like socks or stack up like coins? There is a frustration here, but it is a comfortable frustration, the kind you feel when you know the answer is just on the tip of your tongue or just around the corner. They talk incessantly, their voices rising and falling in a duet of ideas. Crick's voice is deep and authoritative, while Watson's is flatter and more questioning. They argue gently. They erase drawings on the blackboard with dusty erasers, leaving clouds of white chalk in the air. They pace back and forth across the creaking wooden floorboards, the sound of their footsteps marking the passage of time. As the morning turns into afternoon and the rain continues to wash the streets outside, they decide to take a break. They put down their cardboard shapes and put on their heavy wool coats and tweed caps, stepping out of the lab and into the cool, damp air of the English afternoon. The smell of rain on stone is intense and grounding, a scent of wet pavement and old masonry that is characteristic of Cambridge. They walk down the narrow streets, passing students in black flowing gowns who are rushing to lectures, passing the windows of bookshops filled with leather-bound volumes, passing the bicycles leaned against the iron railings. They are heading to their favorite sanctuary, a place where the mind can relax and let the ideas settle. They are heading to the Eagle. The Eagle is a pub that has stood on Bennett Street for centuries, a warm and inviting refuge with a facade of dark timber and plaster. As they push open the heavy wooden door, they are greeted by a wave of warmth and noise. The air inside is thick with the smell of pipe smoke and roasted malt and the murmur of 100 conversations. It is a cozy, chaotic embrace that feels miles away from the sterile world of the laboratory. They find a table in the back, perhaps near the fireplace, where the logs are hissing and popping, casting a flickering orange light on the faces of the patrons. They order their lunch, perhaps a simple meal of shepherd's pie and pints of bitter, the dark amber liquid settling in the glass with a thick head of foam. Imagine the atmosphere of this pub. It is a place where history lives. During the war, it was a haunt for the RAF pilots who used candles to burn their names into the ceiling of the back bar, names that are still there, looking down on the scientists as they eat. There is a sense of continuity here, a feeling that life goes on despite the wars and the weather. Watson and Crick lean in close over the small wooden table, their voices dropping to excited whispers so as not to be overheard. Not that anyone else would understand their strange language of phosphates and sugars and helices. They are sketching on napkins, drawing shapes in the condensation on the beer glasses. Their eyes are bright with the thrill of the chase. They are discussing the latest news from London. They are discussing the shapes of the molecules. They are realizing that the pieces of cardboard they were playing with earlier might be the key to everything. Imagine the feeling of the warm fire on your back and the cool ale in your hand while your mind plays with the biggest secret in the universe. It is a contrast that is deeply satisfying, the ordinary mixed with the extraordinary. The pub is loud with the clinking of glasses and the laughter of students, but for Watson and Crick, the world has narrowed down to the space between them. They are building a cathedral of thought in the middle of a noisy tavern. They sense that they are close, very close, to solving the riddle that has stumped the greatest minds of their generation. The rain taps against the pub windows, blurring the view of the street outside, creating a cocoon of privacy. The warmth of the room makes them sleepy, but their minds are too active to rest just yet. They are like explorers who have just found the map to the treasure, but have not yet dug up the gold.
As they finish their meal and drain their glasses, the afternoon begins to darken into evening. The streetlights outside flicker to life, casting reflections on the wet cobblestones. The mood is one of anticipation, a suspended moment in time where the world is about to change but has not changed yet. They pay their tab and button up their coats, preparing to head back out into the drizzle. The walk back to the laboratory or to their rooms is slow and thoughtful, the cold air waking them up from the pub drowsiness, the alcohol making their thoughts slightly loose and creative, allowing them to see connections they might have missed while sober. This chapter of the story is about the human side of science. It is about the fact that the structure of DNA was not discovered by a computer or a robot, but by two men sitting in a pub escaping the rain. It reminds us that great ideas often come when we are relaxed, when we step away from the workbench and let our minds wander. Imagine yourself walking with them down the darkening street, the sound of your shoes echoing on the stones, the smell of the damp earth, the feeling of the wool coat against your neck. You are part of their conspiracy, part of their excitement. They part ways for the evening, promising to meet again in the morning to try a new arrangement of the cardboard pieces, to try a new angle. They go to their separate beds, their heads full of spirals and ladders, dreaming of shapes that twist and turn. The city of Cambridge settles down for the night, the colleges locking their great gates, the porters turning out the lights, the river flowing silently past the backs of the buildings, carrying the fallen leaves to the sea. The Eagle Pub quiets down, the last patrons leaving, the fire dying down to embers, the smoke clearing. But the energy of that conversation lingers in the air, the echo of the whisper that they have found the secret of life. As you lie there listening, let the cozy atmosphere of the pub wrap around you, the warmth, the safety, the feeling of being with friends, the comfort of a good meal and a warm fire. You are safe in the flow of history, safe in the knowledge that the puzzle is being solved, that the cardboard and the wire are waiting on the desk for the morning light, that the rain is watering the gardens of England, and that the double helix is ready to be born. The excitement of the day fades into a gentle contentment, a knowing that the answer is there, just waiting to be built. And with that comforting thought, we leave the rainy streets of Cambridge and drift deeper into the relaxation of the night, letting the image of the spinning models and the warm pub fade into the black velvet of sleep.
The morning of February 28, 1953, dawns over Cambridge with a pale and gentle light. The mist hangs low over the college lawns, clinging to the ancient stone like a soft breath, and the world is quiet, very quiet, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for a secret to be spoken. We find ourselves back in the Cavendish laboratory, but the atmosphere has changed from the chaotic frustration of previous days to a strange and focused calm. James Watson arrives early. The air in the room is still cool and smells of metal and dust. He walks over to the table where the model stands. It is a construction of brass plates and metal rods, a sculpture of science that looks more like a piece of modern art than a biological discovery. He is alone in the room, and the silence is absolute, save for the chirping of a bird outside the window and the beating of his own heart. He sits down on the wooden stool and begins to move the pieces. He is playing with the shapes of the bases, the adenine and thymine, the guanine and cytosine, looking for a way they might fit together that makes sense. For a long time, they have struggled with the idea that the bases sat on the outside, like leaves on a tree, but now they know they must be on the inside, like steps on a staircase. Imagine the tactile sensation of the cold metal in his hands, the smooth edges of the plates, the mechanical satisfaction of the clamps tightening. He moves two of the metal shapes together, and suddenly they click into place, not with a loud noise, but with a visual perfection that is startling. He realizes that an A-shaped piece fits perfectly with a T-shaped piece, and a G fits perfectly with a C. They form a flat rung of equal width, a bridge that can span the gap between the two twisting backbones. It is a moment of pure geometry, a moment where the chaos of chemistry suddenly resolves into the order of architecture. He holds his breath as he builds up the model, rung by rung, click by click. The structure begins to rise from the table. It does not stand straight up like a ladder against a wall, but it twists, it turns, it spirals gracefully upwards, creating the shape we now know so well, the double helix. It is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. It is elegant, it is simple, it is symmetrical. It looks like a spiral staircase floating in space, a staircase that leads to the essence of life itself.
Francis Crick arrives a little later, his booming voice silenced by the sight of the model standing there in the morning light. He walks around it, viewing it from every angle, his eyes wide with the realization that the search is over. They do not need to shout "Eureka," for the structure speaks for itself. It has a quiet dignity, a rightness that feels inevitable, as if it had been waiting there since the beginning of time just for them to assemble it. As they look at the twisted ladder, they realize something even more profound than the shape. They realize how it works. If you were to pull the two sides of the ladder apart, unzipping it down the middle, each side would carry the perfect template to rebuild the other. If you have an A on one side, you know there must be a T on the other. This was the secret of inheritance, the mechanism of copying that Mendel had sensed in his garden and Schrödinger had dreamed of in his study. Imagine the profound sense of relief washing over the room, the tension of the chase evaporating, leaving behind a warm glow of satisfaction. The sun breaks through the clouds outside, casting a beam of light onto the brass model, making it gleam like gold. The dust motes dance in the light around the helix, like tiny planets orbiting a new sun. It is a moment of supreme peace, the peace of understanding, the peace of seeing the answer after years of questions. They stand there for a long time, just looking, letting the beauty of the structure sink into their minds. It is a shape that is pleasing to the eye, a shape that flows. There are no sharp angles to snag the mind, only smooth curves that invite you to follow them round and round. As you listen to this, visualize that double helix in your own mind. See it spinning slowly in the darkness, a golden spiral of infinite length. It is the structure that holds you together, the structure that knits your bones and weaves your skin. It is a masterpiece of engineering that lives inside every cell of your body. The discovery of the double helix was not just a scientific breakthrough, it was an aesthetic one. It showed that nature, at its core, is beautiful, that the truth is often the most elegant solution.
Watson and Crick eventually leave the lab to go for lunch at the Eagle, but they walk with a lightness in their steps. They know they have found the secret. They famously tell the patrons of the pub that they have found the secret of life. But in this story, we focus on the quiet moment before the announcement, the moment of silent communion between the men and the molecule. The lab is left empty again, but the model remains on the desk, a silent sentinel, a testament to the order of the universe. The eureka moment is not a sudden explosion, but a slow sunrise, a gradual illumination that reveals the landscape clearly for the first time. The twisted ladder stands firm, holding the code of life safely within its rungs, protected by the strong outer rails. It is a design of perfect balance, of yin and yang, of two strands winding around each other in an eternal embrace. As you drift deeper into relaxation, let the image of the double helix gently rotate in your thoughts, a calming, repetitive motion. Round and round it goes, smooth and steady, unhurried and precise. It is a structure that has survived for billions of years, and it will survive for billions more. It is the anchor of existence, the stable core of who you are. The excitement of the discovery fades into the comfort of knowledge. The mystery is solved, the map is drawn, and now we can rest in the certainty of our own design. The brass plates cool down as the sun moves across the sky. The shadows in the lab lengthen, but the golden spiral remains, shining in the twilight, a beacon of truth in a quiet room in Cambridge, guiding us down the spiral staircase of consciousness into the deep restorative vault of sleep.
Having admired the elegant architecture of the double helix, we now step closer, much closer, shrinking down until the twisted ladder becomes a vast landscape stretching out before us. We are no longer looking at the structure itself, but at the message written upon it. Imagine entering a sacred library where the books are not written in English or Latin or Greek, but in a language that predates them all, a language that was spoken by the earth long before the first human voice was ever heard. This is the language of life, and the most miraculous thing about it is its simplicity. It does not require 26 letters like the alphabet of the English tongue, nor does it need thousands of characters like the scripts of the East. It requires only four, just four simple letters to write the biography of every living thing that has ever existed on this blue planet. These four letters are A, C, G, and T, standing for adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. But tonight, let us forget the complex chemical names which feel cold and hard in the mouth. Let us instead think of them as ancient runes, four mystic symbols carved into the bedrock of reality. Imagine them glowing softly in the darkness of the cell. A, C, G, T, repeating in an endless sequence, a chant that goes on forever, a silent mantra of existence. There is a profound sense of peace in knowing that the complexity of the world is built on such a simple foundation. It means that at the core of things, life is not chaotic or confusing, but orderly and precise. Let us visualize these letters as the four cardinal directions on a compass: north, south, east, and west, guiding the ship of life through the oceans of time. Or perhaps as the four elements of the ancients: earth, air, fire, and water, combining in infinite ways to create the physical world. The letter A is always seeking the letter T. They are soulmates in the molecular world, drawn together by an invisible force, finding each other across the void and locking hands in a perfect embrace. While the letter C always seeks the letter G, a bond that is just as strong and just as loyal. This rule of pairing is the golden rule of the universe, a promise that is never broken, creating a rhythm of connection that beats in time with the universe. As you listen to this, let your mind drift over the landscapes of the earth and realize that everything you see is written with these same four letters. Imagine a great redwood tree standing tall in a misty forest in California, its bark rough and red, its needles green and fragrant. That tree is a story written in A, C, G, and T, a long epic poem of survival and strength. Now imagine a delicate hummingbird hovering near a flower, its wings beating so fast they are a blur of motion. That bird is also a story written in the very same letters, just arranged in a different order, a faster, lighter verse. It is a humbling and comforting thought to realize that the difference between you and the flower in your garden is not the material you are made of, but the spelling of your code. You are both woven from the same thread. You are both songs composed with the same four notes. This chapter invites you to look at the world with new eyes, to see the invisible script running through the veins of the leaf and the skin of the apple, to hear the silent whisper of the DNA in the soil and the sea. These four letters are the true historians of our world. They have witnessed the rise and fall of dinosaurs. They have survived the ice ages that froze the continents. They have endured the scorching heat of volcanic eras, and through it all, they have been faithfully copied, A to T, C to G, over and over again, preserving the flame of life. Imagine a scribe in a quiet room copying a manuscript by candlelight, working with infinite patience and care, ensuring that not a single letter is lost. This is what your cells are doing right now as you lie in bed. There is a dedicated machinery inside you that reads this four-letter alphabet with a precision that human technology can barely match. It reads the instructions for your heartbeat, for the repair of your muscles, for the color of your dreams. The language is universal. If you were to take a piece of code from a bacterium and place it into a plant, the plant would read it and understand it perfectly because they speak the same mother tongue. There is no Tower of Babel in biology. There is only the one true language of the four letters. This unity is a soothing balm for the soul. It reminds us that we are not isolated beings cut off from the rest of nature. We are part of a continuous web of life, a vast family that shares the same inheritance. As you breathe in and out slowly and deeply, imagine the air filling your lungs and bringing oxygen to the cells that hold this precious code. Imagine the letters A, C, G, and T floating in your mind's eye like golden dust, swirling gently, rearranging themselves into patterns of beauty. They are the alphabet of destiny because they determine so much of who we are, yet they are also the alphabet of potential, holding the instructions for growth and change. Think of a piano with only 4 keys. It might seem limited, but a master pianist could play an infinite number of melodies on those 4 keys, from the thunderous chords of a storm to the gentle lullaby of a stream. Nature is that master pianist, and you are the music she is playing right now, a unique composition that has never been heard before. The letters are not just static ink on a page. They are alive. They vibrate with the energy of the cosmos. They dance the waltz we spoke of earlier.
In the quiet of the night, when the house is still and the world outside has faded away, the 4 letters continue their silent conversation. They are the guardians of your identity, the keepers of your secrets. There is no need for you to worry about them or to check on them. They know what they are doing. They have been doing it for billions of years. You can surrender to their wisdom. You can trust in the intelligence of the code. Let the shapes of the letters soften in your imagination, the sharp lines of the A and the T becoming curved and soft like pillows, the curves of the C and the G becoming circles of comfort. Let them float around you like falling leaves in autumn, drifting down to cover you in a blanket of peace. The story they tell is a good story, a story of life triumphing over nothingness, a story of resilience and hope. We are all readers of this great book. Even if we cannot see the text with our eyes, we feel it in our bones. We sense the rhythm of the code in the beating of our hearts. The 4 letters of destiny are the simplest and most profound truth we have. They are the bridge between the dust of the stars and the breath of a sleeping child. As we prepare to turn the page to the next chapter, let us give thanks to these tiny symbols, these microscopic runes that carry the weight of the world with such lightness. The alphabet of life is a lullaby that never ends, a song that is sung in every cell of every creature on earth, a harmony of A, C, G, and T that vibrates in the silence of the universe. Feel yourself becoming part of that harmony, sinking into the rhythm, letting the letters spell out the word sleep, S-L-E-E-P. But written in the language of DNA, it translates to rest, repair, restore. The night is the time when the code works best, when the body is at peace and the library is quiet. So let the letters do their work. Let them weave the tapestry of your tomorrow while you drift in the comfort of tonight. The exploration of these letters is not a lesson in chemistry,
but a journey into belonging, realizing that you belong here, that you are written into the very fabric of the earth, signed with the 4 letters of destiny, sealed with the double helix, and delivered safely into the arms of sleep. We have traveled from the ancient firesides to the monastery gardens and through the dimly lit laboratories of the 20th century, and now we arrive at a new dawn, the era of the late 20th century, the time of the digital revolution, where the world began to connect through invisible networks of information. It was the 1990s, a decade of optimism and expansion, where the bulky beige computers sat on desks like glowing hearths, and the internet was just beginning to weave the world together. In this atmosphere of technological wonder, a new and massive project was born. It was called the Human Genome Project, and it was perhaps the greatest voyage of discovery ever undertaken. Not a voyage across the ocean to find new continents, nor a voyage into space to find new stars, but a voyage inward to map the terra incognita of the human spirit. Imagine the sheer scale of this ambition, to read every single letter of the genetic code, to create a complete map of the human being. It was an effort that brought together scientists from across the United States and around the world, from the busy labs of Bethesda, Maryland, to the quiet research centers of Cambridge and Tokyo. Thousands of minds working together with a single purpose. Imagine entering one of these modern sequencing centers. The air is cool and conditioned, humming with the white noise of progress. The room is filled not with bubbling beakers or brass microscopes, but with rows of tall, sleek machines. They look like refrigerators or monoliths from a science fiction movie, their lights blinking in a steady, rhythmic pattern, green and amber and red. These are the sequencers, the scribes of the digital age. They are working night and day while the scientists sleep, tirelessly reading the DNA strands, one letter at a time. There is a hypnotic quality to this work, a feeling of immense order and precision. The biological sample is prepared and placed into the machine, and then the lasers go to work, scanning the molecules and translating them into data. On the computer screens nearby, the results appear as a cascading waterfall of colored letters, A in green, C in blue, G in yellow, T in red, scrolling down the black background like rain on a window pane. It is a mesmerizing sight, a digital stream of consciousness that represents the very essence of life. Watching the code scroll by is like watching the matrix of reality reveal itself, letter by letter, page by page. This was not a race in the sense of a frantic sprint, but a marathon of patience, a slow and steady unfolding of a library that had been locked since the dawn of time. Imagine the feeling of the scientists as they watched the first complete chapters of the human book come into focus. It was like an archaeologist brushing away the sand to reveal a golden mosaic that had been buried for millennia, realizing that every tile is perfect, every piece is in its place. They were reading the instructions for building a heart, the code for the lens of the eye, the ancient script that tells the brain how to dream.
As you listen to this, let your mind visualize a library so vast that the ceiling disappears into the mist and the shelves stretch out for miles in every direction. This is the library of the human genome. It contains 3 billion letters. If you were to read it aloud at a normal pace, it would take you nearly 1 century to finish. That is the magnitude of the information you carry inside you every single day. The Human Genome Project was the effort to walk down these aisles and pull the books off the shelves and digitize them, to turn the physical chemistry of the body into the light of the computer screen, making it accessible, making it known.
There is a profound comfort in this act of mapping. Humans have always sought to map the unknown, to draw lines on parchment, to say, here be dragons, or here be mountains. Because a map makes us feel safe. It tells us where we are and where we came from. And this map, the map of the genome, is the ultimate anchor. It tells us that we are all fundamentally the same, that the genetic difference between any two people on Earth is so tiny as to be almost invisible. Underneath the surface differences of appearance and geography, we are all reading from the same book. We are all bound by the same text. The late 90s and the early years of the new millennium were a time of great excitement, but also a time of great reverence. As the draft of the genome neared completion, there was a sense of a sacred threshold being crossed. On the day the announcement was made in the White House in the year 2000, it was not just a political event, it was a spiritual one. The leaders spoke of the genome as the language in which God created life, a text that we were learning to read for the first time. Imagine the feeling of unity that spread across the globe, the realization that we are a single family with a single heritage, recorded in a script that is older than any language spoken by the tongue. The digital age allowed us to see this unity in a new way, not just as a philosophical idea, but as a downloadable file, a string of data that could be shared and studied and marveled at. As the machines in the laboratories hummed along, they were singing a song of connection, weaving the disparate strands of humanity back together. Let the image of the glowing screen soothe you, the soft light in a dark room, the cursor blinking like a slow heartbeat, the feeling of infinite space inside the computer where the data is stored. We often think of technology as cold and impersonal, but here, technology became the vessel for the most personal thing of all. It became the mirror in which we could finally see ourselves clearly.
The library of the human genome is now open. The doors are unlocked and the lights are on. You do not need to read the books tonight. You do not need to study the charts or memorize the sequences. It is enough to know that they are there, that the information is safe, that the map has been drawn. The scientists who worked on this project often spoke of the humility they felt, the sense of standing before a masterpiece of design. They were not inventing anything, they were simply discovering what was already there, what had always been there. It is a comforting thought to realize that you are a masterpiece of design, that your body is built according to a plan of staggering complexity and beauty, a plan that has now been digitized and preserved for all time. As the excitement of the discovery settles down into the pages of history, we are left with the quiet wonder of it all, the feeling that we have looked into the engine room of the ship and seen the gears turning, and they are turning smoothly, silently, perfectly. The sequencing machines have finished their first great task, and now they hum a lower note, a note of maintenance and care, just as your body hums a low note of rest as you lie in bed. The digital letters A, C, G, and T fade from the bright screen and settle into the soft darkness behind your eyelids. They are no longer data points to be analyzed, but stars in a night sky, guiding you towards sleep. The unfolding of the library was a gift to humanity, a reminder of our complexity and our shared destiny. But tonight, the library is quiet. The librarians have gone home, the screens are dimmed, and the books are resting on the shelves. You are the book, and you are the reader. You are the map and the territory. You are the mystery and the solution. Let the feeling of the late 20th century, the era of discovery, the era of the first digital sunrise, wrap around you like a warm blanket. The hum of the computer fan blends with the sound of your breathing. The scroll of the data slows down until it stops completely,
pausing for the night. We have read the book of man and found that it is a good book, a story of survival and adaptation and life, a story that continues to be written in every beat of your heart. The map is complete, the territory is safe, and the traveler can now rest, knowing that the path is known, that the code is sound, and that the library of life will watch over you as you drift into the deep, data-rich silence of dreams.
Now that we have held the digital map in our hands and marveled at the science of the genome, let us close the book of data and open the book of memory, drifting away from the bright lights of the laboratory into the soft, sepia-toned world of the past. For your DNA is not merely a set of chemical instructions for building a body. It is a travel log, a diary, and a history book, all wrapped into one. It is a physical record of every journey your ancestors ever took, every hardship they survived, and every love they found. Tonight, as you lie in the comfort of your bed, feel the weight of that history pressing gently against you, not as a burden, but as a warm blanket of belonging. Imagine that your body is a vessel carrying the echoes of thousands of lives that came before you, lives that have been woven together across centuries to create the unique tapestry that is you. Let us peel back the layers of time slowly and gently, starting with the faces you know or have seen in old photographs. Think of your parents and your grandparents, the way they smiled or the way they stood, and realize that those traits are not gone. They are living right now inside of you. The color of your eyes may be a gift from a great-grandmother who lived on a prairie farm 100 years ago. Her resilience in the face of winter living on in your ability to endure the cold. The shape of your hands may be the same as a great-grandfather who worked in the steel mills or the coal mines, his strength flowing through your veins like a quiet river. As we travel further back, the names fade away, but the connection remains just as strong. Imagine the great ships crossing the Atlantic Ocean in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the wooden decks creaking under the feet of those who sought a new life in America. Your DNA was on those ships. It stood on the deck, watching the Statue of Liberty rise from the mist. It survived the storms and the seasickness and the uncertainty. And because they survived, you are here today, breathing, dreaming, and resting. There is a profound comfort in knowing that you come from a line of survivors, from a long, unbroken chain of men and women who faced the world with courage. They are not gone. They are part of your biological team, cheering you on from the inside. Let us drift back even further now, crossing the ocean back to the old countries, to the misty fjords of Scandinavia, or the green hills of Ireland, or the vast plains of Africa. Wherever your people came from, the land is still in your blood. Imagine the Vikings standing at the prow of a longship, the salt spray on their faces and the cold wind in their hair. If you have ancestors from the north, that spirit of exploration is part of your code, a sleeping giant of adventure that rests within your cells. Or imagine the ancient farmers in the Fertile Crescent thousands of years ago, the first people to plant wheat and tame the earth, kneeling in the rich, dark soil under a golden sun. If you feel a peace when you are in a garden or walking through a forest, it is perhaps those ancient farmers whispering to you across the millennia, reminding you of your connection to the land.
The map of history written in your genes is vast and deep. It connects you to the builders of Stonehenge who dragged the massive stones across the plains. It connects you to the scholars of Alexandria who sought to understand the stars. It connects you to the nomads who followed the herds across the steppes under a canopy of galaxies. You are not a solitary being floating alone in time. You are the tip of a massive pyramid, the culmination of a love story that has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years. Think of the concept of the family tree. Usually, we picture it on paper with names and dates, but the true family tree is inside you. Its roots go down deep into the bedrock of history, and its branches reach up to the sky, which is you. Every cell in your body is a leaf on that ancient tree, fluttering in the wind of the present moment. There is a deep sense of safety in this realization, a feeling of being held by the past. You do not have to face the world alone because you bring a legion of ancestors with you wherever you go. They are in the arch of your foot, the beat of your heart, the curl of your hair. As we journey back deeper into the mists of time, the distinctions between nations and tribes begin to blur, and we find ourselves at the campfire of the very first humans. Imagine a night 50,000 years ago. The air is cold and wild, but the fire is warm. A small group of people huddled together for safety and companionship, the flames illuminating their faces. These are your grandparents, great, 1,000 times over. They looked up at the same moon that shines through your window tonight. They wondered at the same stars. They felt the same fear of the dark and the same joy in the warmth of the fire. You are connected to them by a direct line of blood and DNA that has never been broken, not once in all those millennia. This is the ultimate comfort of genetics, the knowledge that we are all part of one massive ancient family, that if you trace the lines back far enough, we all sit around that same fire. We all share the same first mother who walked on the plains of Africa. This realization dissolves the feeling of loneliness, for how can you be lonely when you carry the entire history of the human race inside you, when every breath you take is a tribute to those who breathed before you? Listen to the silence of the room around you and imagine it is filled with the benevolent presence of your ancestors. They are the silent guardians who have passed the torch of life from hand to hand until it reached you. And now you hold the light, glowing warm and bright in the darkness.
The struggles they faced are over. The wars they fought are ended. The storms they weathered have passed, and what remains is the distilled essence of their strength and their hope, which is you. You are the dream of your ancestors, the future they worked for, the peace they prayed for. Let this thought rock you gently like a cradle, the feeling of being the latest link in a golden chain that stretches back to the dawn of time. Your DNA is a treasure map where X marks the spot of your existence. It tells the story of how humanity survived ice ages and droughts and plagues, and yet kept going, kept loving, kept having children. Tonight, you can rest in the knowledge that your body knows how to survive. It knows how to heal. It knows how to sleep, because it has practiced these things for millions of years. The wisdom of the ages is not just in books, it is in your bones. It is in the double helix that winds its way through your core. As you drift towards sleep, imagine you are walking back through the hallway of history, waving goodbye to the Vikings and the farmers and the nomads, thanking them for their resilience, thanking them for the gift of life. You walk past the great ships and the stone castles and the mud huts, back to the safety of your own room, your own time, your own bed. The echoes of the past are soft now, like the sound of the ocean heard from far away, a rhythmic shushing sound that calms the mind. You are the keeper of the flame, the guardian of the map, but for tonight, your duty is simply to rest, to let the history book close, to let the ancestors watch over you as you sleep. The map of history is safe inside you. The ink is permanent. The story is written, and it is a beautiful story, a story of triumph and continuity. Feel the strength of the generations supporting you, lifting you up, holding you in a space of timeless peace. You are never alone. You are never lost, for your DNA knows the way. It knows where you came from, and it knows where you are going. Let the ancient lullaby of your bloodline sing you to sleep, a song of connection that vibrates through the ages, deeper and deeper into the restful silence of the night.
We have journeyed through the ancient temples of history and the modern halls of science, tracing the path of the double helix through time and memory. But tonight, let us take the ultimate journey. Let us lift our eyes from the microscope and look up at the telescope of the night sky, drifting away from the Earth entirely to float in the velvet silence of the cosmos. For the story of your DNA does not begin in a biology lab, nor does it begin in the womb of an ancestor. It begins in the fiery heart of a dying star, billions of years before the Earth was even born. This is the chapter where we meet the universal weaver, the cosmic force that knits the fabric of the heavens into the fabric of your being. Imagine yourself floating in the deep vastness of space, where the silence is absolute and the peace is infinite. Around you, the stars are scattered like diamonds on black velvet, shimmering with a light that has traveled across the ages to reach you. It is a scientific fact that sounds like a myth, but is as true as the ground beneath your feet, that every single atom in your body was once inside a star. The hydrogen that bonds the strands of your DNA together was born in the very first moments of the universe, a traveler from the dawn of time. But the heavier elements, the carbon that forms the backbone of your cells, the nitrogen that writes the code of your genes, the oxygen that fuels your breath, and the phosphorus that builds the ladder of the helix, all of these were forged in the tremendous heat and pressure of stellar furnaces. Imagine a massive star burning bright in the ancient dark, a factory of creation where simple atoms are crushed together to create complex ones, a cosmic alchemy that turns the dust of the universe into the building blocks of life. For millions of years, this star burns until it can burn no more, and in a final glorious act of giving, it explodes into a supernova, a flower of fire blooming in the void, scattering its precious cargo of atoms out into the galaxy. This is the stardust that you are made of. Think of the carbon atom that sits in the center of your DNA right now, holding the code of your existence. That tiny atom once floated through the nebula of a shattered star. It drifted through the cold silence of interstellar space for eons, a microscopic wanderer waiting for a home. Slowly and gently, gravity began to pull these dust clouds together, the universal weaver gathering the threads of light and matter, spinning them into a new solar system, into a golden sun, into a blue planet spinning in the dark. It is a thought that brings a profound sense of connection, the realization that you are not merely living on the universe, but you are of the universe. You are a piece of the cosmos that has come alive, a collection of ancient stardust that has woken up to look at itself. As you lie in your bed, feel the weight of your body against the mattress and realize that this weight is the weight of the stars. The iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones are gifts from the heavens, inherited from celestial ancestors that burned long ago.
This perspective dissolves the boundaries between the large and the small, between the macrocosm and the microcosm. Think of the shape of the spiral galaxy, the Milky Way turning slowly in the dark with its arms wrapped around a glowing center. And then think of the spiral of your DNA twisting in the center of your cells. It is the same shape, the same sacred geometry, repeated on a scale of millions of light years and on a scale of millionths of a millimeter. The phrase, "as above, so below," whispers through the corridors of science and philosophy, reminding us that the patterns of nature are universal, that the laws that govern the orbits of the planets also govern the twisting of the double helix. The universal weaver does not distinguish between the size of a galaxy and the size of a gene. The care and precision are the same.
The artistry is the same. There is a deep comfort in knowing that you fit perfectly into this design. You are not an accident. You are a necessary part of the unfolding story of the universe. Imagine the atoms of your DNA vibrating gently. They are humming with the energy they absorbed in the stars, a silent song of light that never goes out. You are literally made of light that has slowed down, light that has taken on form and substance. This chapter invites you to expand your awareness, to feel the edges of your room dissolving into the edges of the night, to feel the roof above you opening up to reveal the infinite canopy of space, and to feel safe in that vastness because you are made of the same stuff. You are the universe experiencing a dream. You are the cosmos taking a nap. The connection between the stars and your cells is not just poetic, it is physical. The phosphorus that allows your DNA to hold its shape was cooked in the heart of a red giant star, traveled through the explosion, condensed into the rocks of the early Earth, was weathered by the rain, absorbed by the plants, and finally became part of you. It is a journey of epic proportions, a journey of billions of miles and billions of years, all culminating in this quiet moment of rest. The universal weaver works with infinite patience, never rushing, never making a mistake, knitting the threads of carbon and nitrogen into the beautiful tapestry of life. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in the atmosphere of the universe, and as you breathe out, imagine you are releasing any tension back into the void where it can be absorbed and neutralized. You are a child of the sky, a descendant of the sun, a relative of the moon. The complexity of your DNA is a mirror of the complexity of the galaxies, a library of information that rivals the information in the stars. Let this thought rock you into a deeper state of relaxation, the feeling that you are held by something much larger than yourself, something eternal and benevolent.
The stars do not worry about the future, they simply burn. The atoms do not worry about their purpose, they simply exist. And tonight, you can join them in that simple state of being. You are a temporary arrangement of eternal elements, a beautiful pattern that the universe has chosen to weave for a little while. The weaver's hands are gentle, the threads are strong, and the pattern is flawless. As you drift deeper into the night, let your mind float among the nebulae, those clouds of purple and gold and blue, where new stars are being born. Visualize the silence of space, a silence that is not empty, but full of potential, full of peace. Your DNA is a ladder that reaches not just back to your human ancestors, but back to the beginning of time, back to the Big Bang, back to the moment when the universe began to breathe. There is no separation between you and the world. The air you breathe is the same air that circulates through the biosphere. The water in your cells is the same water that flows in the oceans and drifts in the comets. You are home. You have always been home, because the universe is your house and your body is made of its bricks. Let the grandness of this idea wrap you in a cocoon of awe and safety. The problems of the day seem very small when compared to the journey of a carbon atom. The worries of the mind fade away when bathed in the light of a billion stars. You are a masterpiece of cosmic engineering, a vessel of stardust sailing on the river of sleep. The universal weaver has finished the work for the day. The tapestry is secure, the colors are bright, and the threads are tied. Everything is connected, from the spiral of the Andromeda Galaxy to the spiral of your own genetic code, spinning in perfect harmony, a duet of the infinite and the infinitesimal. Rest now in the knowledge that you are vast, that you are ancient, that you are made of the most precious materials in existence, forged in fire and cooled by time, designed to live, designed to love, and designed to sleep. The stars watch over you not as distant strangers, but as kin, blinking their silent lullaby across the light years, while the stardust inside you settles down, heavy and warm and relaxed, ready to drift into the dreams that are as wide and as deep as the universe itself.
And so we come to the end of our long journey down the spiral staircase of time. We have traveled far tonight, leaving the present moment to walk through the mists of the ages. We have stood under the starlight of ancient Mesopotamia, wondering at the mystery of bloodlines. We have walked the quiet gravel paths of the Austrian monastery with Gregor Mendel, listening to the wind rustle through the pea plants. We have felt the chill of the German winter in the castle laboratory where the first white wisp of DNA was seen. And we have peered through the brass microscopes of the early 20th century, watching the chromosomes dance their slow, silent waltz. All of these moments, all of these discoveries were stepping stones leading us here, leading us back to this very moment, to this room, to this bed, where you are safe and warm and ready to rest. The history of science is a beautiful story, but it is just a story, and now it is time to let the story fade into the background, like a book being gently closed and placed on a nightstand. The characters we met, the physicists and the chemists and the dreamers, are all at rest now. Their work is done, and your work is done too. There is a profound peace in knowing that the great questions have been answered, that the map has been drawn, that the library is complete. You do not need to solve any puzzles tonight. You do not need to understand the chemistry or memorize the codes. You only need to be. Now I invite you to turn your attention inward, away from the history of the world, and towards the history of your own body. Imagine that the room around you is dissolving into soft shadows. The walls are protecting you, the ceiling is sheltering you, and the world outside is pausing its chaotic spin. Visualize the double helix we have spoken of, that beautiful twisted ladder, but see it now not as a scientific model made of metal or cardboard, but as a living, glowing reality inside you. In every single cell of your body, from the roots of your hair to the tips of your toes, these tiny spirals are coiled tight, safe in the nucleus, floating in the dark fluid of life. As you lie here in the stillness, realize that sleep is not just a pause. It is a biological necessity, a sacred time of repair and restoration. While your conscious mind drifts away, while your breathing slows down to a rhythmic tide, your DNA is waking up to its nightly task. Deep inside you, 1 billion tiny healers are going to work. Imagine them as microscopic librarians moving quietly through the stacks of the library, checking the books, smoothing out the pages, repairing any tears that happened during the day. It is a comforting thought to know that you have this internal team looking after you. They are scanning the codes, fixing the errors, knitting together the fraying edges of your being. You do not need to direct them. You do not need to ask them to start. They know exactly what to do. They have inherited this wisdom from the stars and the ancestors. They are working in perfect harmony with the rhythm of your sleep. Feel your body getting heavier, sinking deeper into the mattress, as if gravity is a warm blanket pulling you down into the earth. Let go of the tension in your forehead. Let go of the tightness in your jaw. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, feeling the muscles lengthen and soften. The double helix is a spiral, and the spiral is a shape of infinite calm. It has no beginning and no end. It simply turns and turns, smooth and continuous. Visualize this spiral turning slowly in your mind's eye, a golden thread spinning in the darkness, unwinding your stress, unwinding your worries, unwinding the thoughts of the day. As it turns, it releases a soft golden light that fills your body with warmth, starting at your heart and flowing out to your arms and your legs, a liquid light of relaxation. The ancient farmers we spoke of, the ones who planted the first seeds, they knew the value of rest. They knew that the fields must lie fallow in the winter to recover their strength, and you are no different. You are a field of life that needs the winter of sleep to bloom again in the morning. The journey from stardust to cells is a journey of becoming, but the journey of sleep is a journey of unbecoming, of letting go of your name, letting go of your story, letting go of your time. You are drifting back into the great ocean of existence, the ocean where all the DNA of the world floats together. Think of the 4 letters, A, C, G, and T, not as letters anymore, but as notes in a lullaby. A 4-note chord that is humming in the background of the universe, a drone of peace that vibrates at the frequency of rest. The connection to your ancestors is a net that catches you, holding you up so you can never fall. You are supported by thousands of hands, thousands of loves, thousands of lives. The physics of the universe dictates that energy is never lost, it only changes form. And tonight, your energy is changing from the kinetic energy of doing to the potential energy of dreaming.
The spiral staircase leads down now, down into the velvet dark, step by step, deeper and deeper. With each breath you take, you are descending further into relaxation. The air filling your lungs is the same air that has circulated through history, giving life to the monk in the garden and the scientist in the lab, and now it gives peace to you. The darkness behind your eyes is not empty. It is the darkness of the fertile soil where the seed sleeps. It is the darkness of the deep ocean where the currents are slow. It is the darkness of space where the stars are born. Allow yourself to float in this darkness, weightless and free. The DNA inside you is coiling up for the night, tucking itself in, protecting its secrets. The hum of the X-ray machine is gone. The noise of the pub is gone. The scratching of the quill on parchment is gone. There is only the sound of your own breath, in and out, like the waves on a distant shore. The universal weaver has set down the loom. The tapestry is finished for today. The pattern is held secure. You can trust your body. You can trust your biology. It has carried you this far, and it will carry you through the night. As we reach the final moments of our story, let the image of the spiral fade gently away, leaving only a feeling of wholeness, a feeling of belonging. You are exactly where you are meant to be, a perfect creation of nature, resting in the arms of time. The eternal spiral continues to turn, silently, invisibly, faithfully, keeping watch over you while you sleep. The repair is happening, the restoration is beginning, the peace is settling in. Drift now, drift away from the words, drift away from the ideas, drift into the pure sensation of rest. The stars are shining above the roof, the earth is turning beneath the floor, and you are suspended in the beautiful center of it all. Good night to the ancestors, good night to the atoms, good night to the double helix. Let go, and sleep.